Quetzalcoatl come back. But we haven't got the full story yet. We don't think you're real ambassadors of Christ's fullest wisdom because you're conquering and raping and enslaving. And so there are now wisdom teachers in Latin American Indian culture that are saying the true one hasn't yet come back, and that's what we have to birth together. Quetzalcoatl is the sort of risen Christ who hasn't yet come. And I've met some of these shamanic elders, and it's interesting, all these people going off to do ayahuasca in Latin America. That was part of the Quetzalcoatl mysteries. It's about losing your ego and finding your true self, the Knight of Air. So I think we could describe him as one of the magicians of the gods. Graham Hancock has written about this tradition. And he thinks that Latin American culture was bedded on an even older, more ancient, wise traditions. But I think what that card represents is hope. Although things look really bad, I mean, the misuse of air is to do the gospel and destroy Gaza. There is a solution to this, and we have to realize that the air itself is intelligent. The shunya, as Buddhists talk about, shunyata, is the enlightenment field in which we all can manifest our highest nature. And that, to me, has to be peace, not mutual destruction. It seems to me mutual destruction is a philosophical error, because if I don't like you and I want to slay you, it means I haven't fully understood and reached out in fraternity to understand your nature and realise that you and I are the same. We're united by a common air. We're all brothers and sisters on this planet, whatever our colour of skin or our gender or our class or our language. That, I think, is what Quetzalcoatl wants. So, and that means collective enlightenment, which is why I've been teaching about enlightenments, plural. We have to realise that in each of these traditions, there is an enlightenment potential which we have to activate. And Quetzalcoatl represents that in the Latin American Indian tradition. We need to find that equivalent in all of our cultures and traditions. It's Merlin in the Celtic Druids, and it's the Buddha nature in Buddhism and so on. But it has to be you and me. We have to find this within ourselves, which is what Rousseau was saying. And that's, according to Pierre Leroux, who was definitely the Quetzalcoatl of his day, he says that that's what Rousseau meant by the sovereignty of the people. What he meant is that everybody reaches their own sovereign nature. And that's enlightenment. And that's what the sovereignty of the people is. Instead of having it in a king or an emperor or a pope or something, it's we the people who manifest our sovereign nature. We all become Quetzalcoatl. And then we collectively make decisions from that highest place of our natures. Now that's really interesting. That's Leroux's interpretation of Rousseau. He's saying, Rousseau, that's what he meant to say, he didn't quite say it. So I'm saying it for him. Yes, no wonder the Marxists tried to shut this guy up, because they really didn't like him. Well, they were wrong,
But when you are baptized in a Catholic tradition,
yeah,
you said you are king.
You're Christed, yeah.
Not Christed.
Well, Christ means king, so...
No.
Or the anointed one.
En français is prêtre, prophète et roi.
Okay.
That's the formula said to the baby.
So what do you say again?
You are a priest,
yeah,
priest, prophet, and king.
You say that in French when you baptize the baby.
That means everybody is
a priest, a prophet, and a king.
Yes, and that's sovereignty, as you tell.
How heretical!
Yeah.
Has anyone told the Pope you're saying that?
No, but that's the.
I'm joking. That's beautiful. And I'd love a French version of the Mass, of the baptismal ceremony. I don't know how, it's probably online. I'd love to see that text you're talking about. It's the same with the Rastafarians, where they call each other king and queen. And that is what LaRue's saying we should be doing. You know, that's what communionism is. That's really interesting. Thank you. When I was baptized, they didn't say that. I was baptized as an adult, and we didn't get that full text. We had the Anglican version, which doesn't do anything quite so exciting. Right, now the next one, the last one we're going to look at is Panku, the Chinese creator god, actually. He's the creator, but he's also the destroyer. And so he's got an ambivalent kind of role. In Chinese religion, he's the first god in Taoism and Confucianism. And he stands for the tower in the tarot. I think of Panku like a boy that creates a tower of blocks, you know, wooden blocks. And then, of course, having created it, they knock it down again, because they then want to rebuild it. That's sort of what Panku represents. And I interpret this tower, he's called in Chinese mythology the great architect of the universe. He's the one who envisioned, designed and created the entire universe as we know it. It's said that he chiseled the universe for 18,000 years, creating it out of rocks of eternity. This is what the Taoist text says. Blocks of granite floating in space. And so it's an extraordinary image. I mean, I believe the Chinese have now landed on the dark side of the moon, and they've got rovers going about, and now they're exploring space. They're going into Panku's terrain, exploring the asteroids and all these things. Out of space, he creates planets and floating bodies, and we're on one, Gaia. So he's worshipped in a number of shrines in contemporary China, usually with Taoist symbols, especially in Taiwan, where they've never sort of outlawed the religions. There's a Panku King Temple built in 1809, and there's a Panku King Mountain, so he's like the king of the universe. So auspicious, but you know, also the falling tower, because all that's created is impermanent, as Buddha pointed out. This entire planet will one day no longer exist. It'll be melted into the sun. Our forms, our thoughts, our words, they're all impermanent, as Buddha said. But we vanish into the void, which is the pregnant womb from which all creation comes. The nothingness is the eternal place of rebirth. So there's hope. I just hope that we don't prematurely destroy this planet with a nuclear war. That'd be such a waste from where I'm coming from. I mean, that's just wrong, ethically. And this is what AI, that's why there's an AI danger now, the warning signals, because if this planet is self-destroyed, it will be because AI does it. Some clever person will have programmed AI to release all the atomic warheads at once. If there's a blip comes up on the screen that they're attacking you, and there's a few seconds of response time. This has happened a few times in the last decades when, you know, false warnings came up. But because there were humans watching and monitoring, they said, no, we're not going to launch the attack.
You check another time.
We'll check again. You know. But my concern is that if it's all automated, and if AI makes a decision, they'll say, well, the hell, we'll fire. Because they don't have a soul. AI, for all its cleverness, doesn't have a soul. And it can't make those ethical decisions. It would agree, yeah, well, we'll terminate. You know, we'll get there first because we'll kill them first, sort of stuff. So I think this is where we have to put in ethics. We have to put the brakes on the militarization of AI. We have to demilitarize the planet. We have to get urgent peace agreements between all the warring parties on the planet. I've sketched this out in the 99 Names of Peace book. I've shown how to do it. We have to transfer the money that's being poured into militarism into peace research, and we have to then activate our humanities work as educators, so we understand why Judaism and Islam have these differences. Why does Christianity and Judaism and Islam have differences? How can we as scholars finesse those differences and make them, instead of trench warfare, bridges? How can we build bridges between the cultures? How can we sponsor the greatest scholars now of the Arabic, Jewish, Christian, European worlds to learn from each other, to go on study tours? How can we send American graduate students to Iran to study in Tehran, learn about Islam, and send Iranians back to America, to Harvard, to study there? That's what we should be using AI for. That's what it's for. And that's by using human intelligence. What you call common sense, I call HI, human intelligence.
And there is the DI, the divine intelligence.
That is what I think Panku was both our gods. That's what the Tarot of the Gods are about. It's showing the different archetypes behind different types of divine intelligence. But to me, divine intelligence is creative and loving.
We are kinds of arms of divine intelligence, aren't we?
Well, we're part of the infantry of the divine, officer class that are up there, as it were, in heaven, and we're just the infantry, it seems. But yeah, we're on the job. There's just finishing with my commentary on St. Matthew's Gospel. I've reached the bit where Herod slaughters the infant babies to get at Christ, because he knows something's going on. The Magi have told him there's a Messiah being born. He says, kill all the babies in Bethlehem and surrounding villages. And he does a mass slaughter. And then there's a quote Matthew gives from the prophet Jeremiah, about weeping and wailing in Ramah, which is placed near Bethlehem. Because these sort of have happened before, these pogroms, in Jeremiah's time. And it's a sort of symbolic. So in the history of the Israeli Jewish people, many pogroms have been done in the Russian Tsarist Empire, in the Holocaust, even on October the 7th. And so symbolically that weeping is for all of them. That was done also by Herod. And it's interesting that as Herod was desperately trying to kill and prevent this good news coming to the earth, he failed, because Christ had been whisked away to Egypt, the mothership of all wisdom workers. So I think we have to stay with that good news, in spite of the destructive tendencies that are around. We have to hope that the forces of love are stronger. And that, yes, one of the things, I'll just finish on this, in my Interfaith Peace Treaty, I don't know if you've read it.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so towards the end there's a paragraph 31 that talks about false apocalypticism. And it says that there are people that misunderstand what the apocalypse is about and what apocalyptic is. They think it means a great fight when everyone's killed apart from the good people, and that God wants that. And there are people around that say we've got to have a nuclear war, because then it'll purify everything and just a few people will be saved. They can go to heaven and everyone goes to hell. There are people that have crazy theologies like that. The paragraph 31 of the Interfaith Peace Treaty says clearly, no, that's wrong thinking. It's not in God's plan, it's not in Panku's plan to destroy the planet at this time. That's what these gunmen are doing when they go into schools shooting kids, which is a demonic and terrible thing. And they've just done it in Sweden, some bloke. These are demented people killing kids. that are just starting their life of learning and they're being shot in the classroom. To destroy this planet would be like that, because this planet is a classroom. It's a cosmic classroom for souls to learn in. It's beautiful. And so that's what that paragraph 31 is saying, and I would invite people to sign the Interfaith Peace Treaty, because wherever you're coming from on the table, what I'm saying is it's time to make peace between the boxes and study them and understand where they all come from, instead of seeking to destroy each other. Let's learn from each other and learn to love each other. You know, that's the point of the table. Okay, any comments, final thoughts? That's my
Thank you very much.
offering for this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice one.
Well, there's been a lot going on, so thank you very much. And let's finish and say goodbye to our friends. Thank you.